Yes, come on. Come on in. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Oh, I do appreciate that. God has blessed us with a fine house. That's something I probably don't deserve, but it is good and warm and comfortable. So I hear that you have come and asked some questions about my ministry. As you probably know, I am, of course, am Reverend Cotton Mather. My father, both my grandfathers were also ministers, and it is an interesting and trying time. Disease is everywhere. The smallpox epidemic just shows that the devil and evil is at work in this world, much as did those events in Salem some years ago. The devil is real. You have to understand that, and you have to understand that he is at work. So, look, the work of the minister is beyond just the preaching and the writing. I spend much of my time writing. And I spend much of my time studying God's Word, which has provided us with a roadmap of how God wishes us to live. So, if you are called to the ministry, my words of advice: always put logic over emotion. God has chosen his people, and it is your job to provide the means and support and show them what God's people, how God's people live. You should always be logical, calm, and allow the people to decipher what you are saying so that they will own it for themselves. The logic is very, very simple. There is good in God's world, and there is evil. And one must follow the way and the light. Now, you must caution your flock. You must caution those in your congregation, right? You may remember the name Burroughs. He claimed to be a reverend, a preacher, a man of God, but he was cavorting with Satan. And I watched him with my own eyes executed for witchcraft. We must be diligent in guarding and doing God's work. Now, we live on earth, provided by our God, clearly, but we must also realize, as leaders of the faith, that we must instruct our people on other things of the world. We must instruct them on the fact that God has created a set of rules or laws by which the planet and nature work. And you take this smallpox epidemic now, right? It is us, the educated members of the clergy, who bear the burden of educating the people. It is us who should be talking of. I've written pamphlets on inoculations. They've been done in Asia for centuries. This idea that, of course, you infect healthy people with smallpox from victims who have had relatively minor cases, and that this will prevent them from getting the disease. It's right here, the rules of it. So, God, of course, has established the laws and the rules, And it's man's job to live by the will of God. God, of course, will bless his chosen, and most all things they do, as long as it's done in a holy and fine way. So you see, this idea of inoculation is not against God's work. It is a blessing God has provided for us in the rules of law. And as long as we can keep Satan at bay, then it would make perfect sense for us. Who else will educate?